All right, we are live, and I am Sean Bland, the 7th District Public Relations Director, and I am honored today to have our former 14th District Representative, and he says that it's a question between 13th and 14th, but we'll go with 14th right now. Out of Mississippi, Jackson County, more specifically, brother J.B. Carter Jr. is our former 14th district representative. And I just can't tell you, we just got through with an interview, and it was a brief interview, but it was very informative about his past. I'm going to let him introduce himself to the fraternity and the world. And then we'll get into just a couple of specific questions to give you an understanding of why this individual is so important, especially during Black History Month. So, Brother J.B. Carter, go ahead and just give them your fraternity tag and introduce yourself. And I am going to just let you have the screen, sir.
Thank you, Brother Bland. My name is J.B. Carter Jr. I'm the 14th 7th District Representative. It's initiated into the Rho Epsilon chapter at Tougaloo College on December 6, 1958. Served as State Representative of Mississippi, first Vice District Representative, and eventually District Representative. I've also served on the Life Membership Committee, served as Human Resources Director for the International Headquarters, served on committees such as recommendations, constitutional bylaws, and just a committed Omega man, and Omega has become a part of my life as well as my family's life.
Well, and let's talk just briefly about, I think the biggest thing that I enjoyed were some of your firsts. And we're not going to go into all of your firsts because we're going to let them look at your video later on. But why don't you tell them about one or two of your firsts? And that's outside of Omega. And then we'll go into a couple of things inside of Omega that you've done that I think the people just kind of need to know during this period. I think there were some firsts that you had in your career. If you don't mind just kind of giving them just a little taste of some of the good stuff that you've done in the state of Mississippi.
Thank you so much. I was the first Black to be a labor relations representative at Ingalls Shipbuilding in Pascagoula, Mississippi. As a labor relations representative, and I was telling Sean earlier, I was the first Black to interpret the labor contract to white folks. They'd never had anybody do that before. And I guess I need to tell you a little bit about that. To any of you who've been first or been involved in anything like that, while walking through that shipyard, I had those white boys that throw rotten oranges at me every day, even though I had on a suit and tie. And the vice president called me in and asked me, how was I doing? I said, fine, and I can handle this. Because I'll just bring my gun. He said, please don't do that. So I didn't, but I became the first Black labor relations representative in the shipyard. I also integrated the Mississippi Employment Security Commission in Pascagoula, Mississippi. And I shared with Sean that there were, at the same time, there were two other Omegas, Brother Beverly, and the other brother's name escaped me at this time, in Jackson, Mississippi. Beverly was in Laura, I believe. We integrated the Employment Security Commission at the same time. I was also the first Black to qualify to run for a political office in the city of Moss Point, where I moved later on.
Okay.
So those are just a few of the things.
Well, that's in your life and in your career. What are one or two of, what is one of the biggest things that you have gained from being an Omega man at this point in time? Let's ask that question.
One of the biggest things I've gained from being an Omega man, as I said to you earlier, was friendship. I have gained so many friends. I lost one of my good brothers in Fort Worth, Texas, a few years ago, Hendricks Cunningham. Now, I live in Mississippi, but Brother Cunningham was from Texas. And so I just have gained this friendship all over the country from being an Omega. I shared with you about Dickie Johnson, who was an Omega in Maryland, Upper Marlboro, Maryland. I had a daughter who was at Florida A&M at the time and had gone to Washington to interview for a job and ran into a problem. I couldn't get there. I just called Brother Johnson. He took care of that problem for me. I've gone all over the country. Brothers stop by my house. They don't come through Moss Point without calling me. Nor do I go to a city without calling a brother. And so this is the friendship, I guess, is the biggest thing I've gained from being an Omega, that I've just loved the brothers and loved the relationship and camaraderie that we share.
What would you like to tell the younger brothers at this point in time that, or even the brothers that are maybe not fully in the fold right now, what would you like to tell them to encourage them to come back in?
You know, there's just strength in numbers. And when you get into Omega, there are so many professionals that you meet and can learn from and can mentor you in the fraternity. I shared with Brother Bland earlier. I had an experience with Colonel Lawrence Roberts. I don't know how many of you have heard that name before, but Brother Roberts was a Tuskegee Airman. And his daughter is named Robin Roberts, that some of you may see every morning on Good Morning America. But I had the honor of being the boss of the chapter that Brother Roberts was in. And Brother Roberts, Brother John Pettis, Dr. Joel Tate, Dr. Felix Dunn, these brothers mentored me when I was a young man growing up. Dr. Alan Johnson at Jackson State, Cleo McGee in Jackson, Mississippi. All of these brothers. And then as I got into fraternity, I met folks like Dr. Dorsey Miller, Ulysses Horn, Astrid Mack, David Beckley, Dr. McMillan. All of these folks mentored me and made me into the kind of Omega that I am now. And I'm hoping that I'm able to do some of that and pass some of that on to young brothers. But getting into Omega allows you to meet these folks. And Dr. Moses Norman, also, I'm sorry I missed him, was also one of my mentors. These are the kind of brothers that you meet and you're allowed to share with in the fraternity.
Well, as I told you in the beginning, you never lose the title of Brother DR. So Brother DR Carter, I do appreciate you taking a few minutes to talk to us during Black History Month, but more importantly, just to share not only your Omega history, but how you have impacted the community, because a lot of people need to know this information so that they can understand that Omega has a lot of tentacles to it. And I appreciate you having a moment to just sit with us and let us know some of the information. To those individuals who are not used to us popping on and doing these types of things, we try to get on and we try to allow guests to have the opportunity to just tell their story. We don't script questions or anything else. We just had a nice little chat. And well, I say chat, but let me tell you, Brother DR will tell you everything you need to know in a very defined and quick response situation. So I appreciate him, and it is an honor to have you here, Brother DR. So as soon as the video comes out, we'll be running it live. And everyone have a wonderful day or a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Bland.